I'm Patrick Perez from Tacoma, Washington, library patron, or as I like to call it, library patron. I chose to be reading from Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, which for the life of me I can't imagine why it should be ever banned or challenged. I suspect it because it refers to a part of U.S. history that is not particularly prideful. It's probably the wrong word. If only there were some way to look up the right words. But Kurt Vonnegut I love as an author, just his humanity in his characters. In a story like this, which deals with some pretty atrocious war elements, he still finds a nice protagonist who knows the author. So I'm going to start with the introduction, which is ostensibly a preface, but one of the things that I like that Vonnegut does in some of his books, such as this one, is begins with a preface ostensibly giving factual background, and before he finishes that chapter has already snuck his way into the narrative fiction. Then I'll use the first line of the proper story and end with the final line of the book, which is one of the things I have memorized about it. So here we go. All this happened, more or less. The war parts, anyway, are pretty much true. One guy I knew really was shot in Dresden for taking a teapot that wasn't his. Another guy I knew really did threaten to have his personal enemies killed by hired gunmen after the war. And so on. I've changed all the names. I really did go back to Dresden with Guggenheim money, God love it, in 1967. It looked a lot like Dayton, Ohio, more open spaces than Dayton has. There must be tons of human bone meal in the ground. I went back there with an old war buddy, Bernard V. O'Hare, and we made friends with a cab driver who took us to the slaughterhouse where we had been locked up at night as prisoners of war. His name was Gerhard Mueller. He told us that he was a prisoner of the Americans for a while. We asked him how it was to live under communism, and he said that it was terrible at first because everybody had to work so hard, and because there wasn't much shelter or food or clothing. But things were much better now. He had a pleasant little apartment, and his daughter was getting an excellent education. His mother was incinerated in the Dresden firestorm. So it goes. He sent O'Hare a postcard at Christmas time, and here's what it said. I wish you and your family also, as to your friend, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope that we'll meet again in a world of peace and freedom in the taxi cab, if the accident will. I like that very much, if the accident will. Now I'm going to jump to the ostensible beginning of the story, which is what I have memorized anyway. Listen, Billy Pilgrim has come unstuck in time. Billy has gone to sleep a senile widower and awakened on his wedding day. He has walked through a door in 1955 and come out another one in 1941. He has gone back through that door to find himself in 1963. He has seen his birth and death many times, he says, and pays random visits to all the events in between. The novel, of course, goes on to many points in between about Billy Pilgrim's life, and what I find so touching is the last line. Birds were talking. One bird said to Billy Pilgrim, "Who do you eat?" And that's it.